Hi guys, Mickey and I are making this video to show you how to do JUnit testing for JDBC database. As students who have taken INFS2605, we assume that you have been familiar with JDBC. And if you're not, don't worry, we will explain the basic knowledge of JDBC through codes that we will use. Therefore, let's have a look at the basic knowledge of JUnit. So first, what is JUnit and JDBC? JUnit is Java library used for unit testing, and unit testing is examining a small piece of software in our database to test some function of our database application. And this is the reason that why we use JUnit testing. And for JDBC, by definition, JDBC is a Java API that supports a Java program that accesses relational database. And let me tell you how JUnit works. It is basically for asserting the expected behavior and state by compression. So right now, after we understand this basic knowledge, I want to introduce the structure of our tutorial. As you can see, first Mickey will explain the structure and function of our database application through codes in NetBeans. And similarly, I will introduce how we do JUnit testing for some specific functions of our application. I believe you have noticed the word I have used is some, by which I mean there are some functions of our application cannot be tested through JUnit. And that will be the last part of our tutorial, limitation of JUnit testing. Now, let me invite Mickey for introducing our database application.
So for our structure and function of the database, first of all, we have to import these java.sql files, or you can just import java.sql.star, which to make things easier, that's just everything. So this is our class name, and as usual, we have the main method here, which is just call setupdb and my menu method. So first of all, when you establish the JDBC connections in Java, there are a few steps for you to follow. So first we have to load the driver, which is interface communication between JDBC and database. Then we have to establish the connection. So think of it as the cable linking your program to a database. Step 3, we then create a statement. So I'll take you through this one. So we then create a statement, which again, think of it as a card that delivers your SQL statement and for execution by the database and bring the result back to the program. So the statements are these ones here. So in step 4, execute the statement. This one, execute, which is essentially just Java doing its job by following what we order or doing this SQL queries. And step 5, process the results. So result sets, we have a class called result sets, which maintains the table whose currently can be retrieved. And lastly, don't forget to close connection, because if you don't do so, you will upset the database and it will give you a database busy error. Anyways, now take you to my function. So I'll just run the program. Okay, so this is the menu that we have, enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're just going to go with the first one. Okay. There you go. Copy it. I don't want to go again. INFS2605. And Java class. Grade. I'll go with 70 first, just because. Okay, as you can see here, data has been inserted. Then we go with press 1 back to the menu. I just want to make sure that I have it. There you go. And finally, the grade of this SQL is 70, as you can see. Go back to the menu. I want to read the whole data. There you go. It's there. Now I want to update my data. Update my grade. So I'll go with 3. The grade will be 80. Why not? And the grade has been updated, as you can see. So you want to go and read the data again to make sure that you got everything right. And the grade has been updated. Now, you can delete. So go with that, and the row is deleted. To make sure everything is correct, you go to 5 and read the whole data, and as you can see, it's gone. All good? Done. Okay, now that I've gone through our methods, I'll give it to Morgan to explain the JUnit testing.
Yeah. So right now I'm gonna use JUnit to test some functions Mickey just showed. So as you can find this test signal here. So the first method we test is for opening connection. So if our application is connected to the database successfully, then the result should contain the URL for the database. That is, the result is not null. Therefore, we use the assert equals method to check that. If the connection result none equal to none is fulfilled, then the JUnit testing success. Let's move on. The second method we test is for creating the table. So what we want to test is the structure of the table is as correct as we expected or not. As you can see, we want to build a table with 4 columns, naming that ID, class, and grade. And we will use get column names to give us the actual column name of our database. And if the actual column names matched with our expected value, then the JUnit testing will be successful. Let's move on. The third method we test is for inserting the initial data. What we want to check is that if the data of the first row is as the same as we expected. As you can see, we use the get method to get the specific value of the first row, and we just compare our expected value with that actual value in our database, and if they match up, then the test will be successfully. Let's move on. So the last method we want to test is for deleting the whole database content. So if the method works, then there will be nothing in our database. That is none. Oh, oops, here. Yeah, that should be none. So right now, let's run the code and see the result. Let's keep, yeah, pretty quick. So, wow, fantastic, 100% pass. So even though that I have shown you some application of JUnit, but as everybody knows, nothing is perfect. So let's have a look at what function of our database application that JUnit cannot test, and I will explain why. So first, the major application of JUnit testing is unit testing. Therefore, at least for this 10 minutes video, integration testing for the main method is out of our scope. So we will not showing how to test the main method in this video. And second, JUnit testing need an expected values as row, but we cannot accept what our user will insert. Therefore, the method down here cannot be tested. For example, if we test close connection method will not produce any value, so of course there will be no expected value and the actual value. And test insert my grade method, as I've mentioned, we don't know what our user will insert in. And the third reason is that JUnit testing aims to test the return value. So for example, the test read my grade method only showing the grades that we have inserted, so he will return nothing. So we cannot use JUnit to test such method. So for the time being, that is all we want to show you, and I hope that it will help you to understanding some basic knowledge of JUnit testing, specifically for JDBC application. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.